I can take that headquarters away from Mengsk, it'll cripple him on this planet. Prep my ship.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at the best the real-time strategy genre has to offer. We're keeping it limited to one entry per franchise, so only the finest entries count.
The home world will be ours.
Number 20, Dungeon Keeper. Sometimes, it's good to be bad. That's how it goes in Dungeon Keeper, where we take control of the titular antagonist. Players create dungeons that expand as the game goes on, eventually taking over the world. Of course, that's easier said than done, and Dungeon Keeper frequently throws enemies our way. Although it starts slowly, building up the dungeons carries a definite sense of accomplishment.
You have tunneled into a new area.
Fans are made intimately familiar with the map, as fending off enemy attacks and unlocking new areas go hand in hand. Quirky dark humor and an equally quality multiplayer add another layer to the game. Eventually, players craft a complex, rewarding backdrop that pays off the many hours invested in the game. Number 19, Halo Wars.
Any idea what it is we've got down there?
It's all theories right now, and I'll know a lot more once I get down there.
The Halo series took a stab at the RTS genre with Halo Wars. It isn't the most revolutionary of titles, but it gets all the basics right. Instead of being at the heart of the battle, players navigate through a bird's eye view. This allows us to see the war as it happens and alter its course in real time.
More resources required.
The game is far from subtle, as attacks are launched from all sides, which means aggression is key. Different modes of attack reap separate rewards, since every weapon also has a weakness. Because of this, players have to figure out which style of play works best to win the war. While it goes hard, Halo Wars is user-friendly, making it a great option for players new to the genre.
Firing! Take him down!
Number 18, Stellaris. Stellaris stays true to the 4X's genre. Players can explore, expand, exploit, or exterminate. Set in a futuristic space, fans can choose the peaceful route and coexist with different colonies, or wreak utter destruction. The sprawling title covers massive ground, so creating empires takes a long time to accomplish. However, it also familiarizes players with the ins and outs of the galaxy, providing them with enough time to decide what kind of playthrough they're looking for.
Anomaly found.
Although its pacing could have been quicker, the level of immersion in Stellaris is too good to ignore. It lives up to its ambitious sense of scale as newer worlds arrive to conquer or preserve. Number 17, Sins of a Solar Empire: Rebellion. Another 4X RTS set in space, this one appeals to the competitive spirit. With multiplayer as the main focus, fans go up against each other in a battle for supremacy. The game is enjoyable when played with an attack-heavy mindset or a defensive one. Using diplomacy requires a chess-like playing style, as Rebellion has fans contemplating all of their decisions. Going in with an aggressive attitude is high risk, high reward. Players can win big or lose most of what they've worked for. It's a thinking person's title that makes the best of the strategic aspect of gaming. With a greater number of factions in store, Rebellion sets itself as the definitive Sins of a Solar Empire expansion.
Research complete.
Number 16, Supreme Commander. With a focus on resource management, Supreme Commander empowers players with the ability to self-sustain. Set during a period of relentless war, the mission is to extract as much as you can from each environment. And thanks to the ingenious strategic zoom camera, battles can be fought simultaneously with other aspects of the game. A variety of different locations refreshes playthroughs as well, each carrying a unique identity. Supreme Commander does emphasize exploration, but there's also a lot of action in store. Battles can be chaotic because of the large number of enemies, which is why players need to get their strategies in order. It's daunting to juggle so many responsibilities at once, but Supreme Commander remains exciting all the way through.
Recall, damn it! Recall!
Number 15. Rise of Nations. Taking place across time, Rise of Nations depicts the rise and fall of various civilizations. The game goes from ancient ages all the way to the present. Players get to shape Earth's history by establishing civilizations of their choice. It also serves as a fascinating blend between real-time strategy and turn-based gameplay, with Rise of Nations bringing the best out of both genres. At the time of its release, curating playthroughs based on individual choices was rare, making the game a trailblazer in the industry. The transition from one civilization to the next is simply remarkable, and the seamlessness of its tonal switches is another quality that Rise of Nations inhabits. Number 14. Total Annihilation. Living up to its title, Total Annihilation has a destructive feel from the beginning. It centers around a galactic conflict between humans and AI, leading to all-out war. Although released decades ago, the game has aged well where its mechanics are concerned. Radar fields and jammers allow locating and hiding attacks, adding a crucial component to gameplay. Fortunately, an easy-to-use interface and constantly replenishing resources keep the action ticking. Due to its large scale, Total Annihilation features multiple forms of warfare, ranging from breaching fortresses to overcoming naval battles. The game was lauded for pushing graphical limitations at the time, blending 2D and 3D graphics for visuals that instantly catch the eye. Number 13. Age of Mythology. Taking place during 4 significant ages in human history, this game has a mythological spin on a tried and tested format. Every culture has a god that aids the player, granting them both resources and weapons for their campaign.
Deimos is fleeing from the town center. After it!
More than the single-player mode, though, Ages of Mythology was popular for its multiplayer. Fans worldwide collided in tournaments featuring different modes suited to their expertise. Detailed animations capture viewers into the game's world, and the characters' interactions with the environment is fun to see. The mythological aspect might be a bit out there, but it allows Age of Mythology greater creative freedom. By the end of its run, there was no doubt how captivating it is. Number 12. The Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth.
It was in this moment when all hope had faded that Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword.
The Lord of the Rings games have dabbled with multiple genres. The Battle for Middle-earth takes a successful venture into RTS territory, where fans can see J.R.R. Tolkien's world for all the dangers it contains. The game can be played as the heroes or the villains, split into good and evil campaigns. Unlike the standard RTS, this one has a fast-paced tone that rarely lets up. In addition, limited resources brings a sense of urgency that motivates players to see things through as quickly as they can. The rousing soundtrack helps keep the mood up as well, complementing the barrage of battles that come our way. What the game lacks in depth, it more than makes up for in entertainment. Number 11. Rome Total War. In this entry of the Total War series, fans are taken along 2 centuries of Roman history during its Republic era. The tumultuous period in ancient Rome sets the stage for an exciting playthrough that contains battles galore. Tactical brilliance is necessary to tackle these conflicts, and the game prepares players from the get-go. The impressively detailed map provides several points of interest to choose from. By creating factions and sifting through units of battle, fans become accustomed to the style of play needed to capture territories. The combination of real-time strategy and turn-based gameplay is easy to get into. It balances the duality between building and battling, highlighting the wonderful simplicity with which Rome Total War is designed.
After all, the man who controls Rome rules the world. And one day, I will be emperor.
Number 10. Sacrifice.
Phalanx formation. Guard me. Skirmish formation.
Who says RTS games have to rely on a particular formula? Sacrifice dares to be different with a behind-the-shoulder perspective practically unheard of for the genre. Instead of worrying about gathering resources, players need to hone their magical skills. Not only does this save a lot of time, but it gives a great sense of freedom that few similar titles provide. Because of this, combat is an invigorating experience that hits hard each time.
You are low on mana.
Although competing against others is an option, Sacrifice eschews the usual RTS emphasis on multiplayer for a well-defined single-player mode. Set in a mystical world where everything from wizards, gods, and demons show up, the story arguably usurps gameplay for how engrossing it is. Sacrifice has some flaws, but its originality is impossible to overlook.
Dying. Your building is under attack.
Number 9. Warhammer 40k Dawn of War.
Orcs only retreat to regroup. They will keep coming until you, or they, are dead.
This title depicts what it's like to be on the battlefield amidst complete catastrophe. It's tougher than most RTS games due to the limited time between battles, but this kind of challenge sets Dawn of War apart, as only the brave can see their way through. Success is determined by commanding infantry squads to whittle down the opposition's forces. As such, players have to stay in touch with constant developments in battle, testing their mettle as captains of the army.
Moving out. Commencing attack.
While it's not a revolutionary title, Dawn of War is among the best in the business. Depending on how it's played, the game can be completed in a quick burst or enjoyed over many hours to fully appreciate its value.
Withdraw and regroup!
Number 8. Northgard. Games in Norse mythology surged in popularity recently with titles like God of War and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Northgard arrived earlier with an RTS-style game that has a heavy focus on exploration. The protagonist's mission to avenge his father brings him to the island of Northgard. Duking it out like Vikings has its own sense of fun, but establishing the home base and expanding the hero's reach is Northgard's winning quality. Uncovering new sections of the map and starting from scratch is an exciting prospect considering just how far players eventually get. World-building elements are a lot more unique here since the Nordic-based landscape is rarely explored in the genre. The game is a venture into the unknown that's absolutely worth the adventure.
All I could think about was finding him to avenge my father and retrieve the regal horn.
Number 7. Frostpunk.
We lost our world to snow. And with it, our last traces of humanity.
Frostpunk delves into the survival of the human race after a cataclysmic volcanic winter. Players need to establish and care for an entire city, complete with how it's run and deciding the fate of its inhabitants. It's a mature step in the RTS landscape, as everything hinges on making difficult choices. Frostpunk goes further by diving into the ethics and morality behind certain decisions, showing players how they might behave when the going gets tough.
Hear me! New law in the city.
It might give off a bleak, dystopian outlook, but the game has players at the edge of their seats to see where it's all headed. Such a surprising aesthetic is the kind of turn that keeps real-time strategy interesting.
Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
Number 6. Homeworld.
More than 40 hours ago, the Raiders came once more.
This isn't looking good for me. Abort mission, repeat.
This sci-fi game tells the story of exiles looking for a new home. Homeworld can be complicated to those unfamiliar with the RTS formula, as gameplay is centered around creating constructs in a 3D design. Resources are mined from nearby planetary objects, while battleships are used to stave off attacks from enemies. There's no easy way to get around it, so fans have to pay attention to detail to get the best out of Homeworld.
Target acquired. Formation trial complete. Flight analysis shows a 22% increase in combat performance.
Challenging and satisfying in equal measures, figuring out the intricacies behind the game is part of the fun. Once players are set, it's easier to appreciate Homeworld for its complex atmospheric backdrop that excels in both its narrative and execution.
Stand by for a hyperdrive test. Internal pressure doors sealed. Abort systems standing by.
Number 5. Warcraft III: The Frozen Throne.
I can wait no longer. I will finish the hunt. The end draws near.
Before World of Warcraft became synonymous with the series, this entry achieved its then critical peak. As the last mainline RTS entry in the franchise, The Frozen Throne does a splendid job at signing off with a bang. With revamped controls and weapon types, it builds on the original Warcraft 3 strong points. The availability of more than 60 maps to select featuring players around the world makes The Frozen Throne incredibly layered.
Now is the time for justice.
Whether it's finding new resources or scouring the map for places to battle, there's a rich environment for players to discover. Additionally, The Frozen Throne lays the template for diverse missions that World of Warcraft later expanded upon.
But I fear there is no way out for the rest of you. Go, mistress. The goddess will light our path to the hereafter.
Number 4. Company of Heroes 2. Depicting a conflict with real-world connections is always difficult, but Company of Heroes 2 is up to the task. We're dropped in the eastern front of World War II, where the land is steeped in conflict. There is the capacity for building strongholds, but players are pushed forward to stay on the offensive. As a result, aggressive tactics like guiding infantry, artillery, and attack vehicles are the way to go. The game doesn't let us get too comfortable. Trying weather conditions get players to improvise different plans in their playthrough. While the game's historical accuracy is questionable, it does prove how crucial strategic brilliance is during times of war. Company of Heroes 2 also shows the series' penchant for bigger and bolder forms of gameplay. Number 3. Command & Conquer: Red Alert 2.
Building.
Waiting order. Ready,
Construction complete.
Red Alert 2 also makes a world war its primary setting, although the presentation is on the lighter side. With live-action cutscenes and a deliberately cheesy tone, Red Alert 2 goes for a breezy playthrough. Its relatively lower difficulty allows for new players to try it out. Players can have different experiences based on choosing between Allied and Soviet campaigns, extending its replay value.
Enemy guided!
Unit lost.
Got it!
Collecting money essentially wins you the game, as having resources gives players almost complete control. While it sounds simplistic, Red Alert 2 is credited with popularizing RTS games, appealing to gamers like few did before. As one of the biggest critical and commercial successes of the year, Red Alert 2 helped normalize the genre to a wider audience.
I'll take the high road. Up and over. It's got no place to hide. Ignite boosters. Got a steady flow.
Number 2. Age of Empires 2: The Age of Kings. Set during the Middle Ages, the second Age of Empires has 5 campaigns to indulge in. Each has locations to explore that are filled to the brim with content. Establishing settlements is just the beginning of an experience that features a variety of things to do. There's also a level of authenticity present, as sound bites of native languages can be heard to go along with the overall design. How economies and battles are handled decides the course of the playthrough, which can last for several hours in each campaign. Because of an easy-to-use interface, the game's entertainment value remains sky-high. All in all, fans can lose themselves in Age of Empire 2's vast maps on their way to forging their path in history. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Starcraft II: Wings of Liberty.
By no means.
companion. This better be good. Go on.
With storytelling that complements its gameplay, Wings of Liberty comes closest to RTS perfection. The primary outline surrounds a massive three-way war that's reaching its breaking point. This sets up a riveting campaign that gradually rises in intensity as players guide the protagonist across as many as 29 missions. The game consistently delivers these missions without compromising its quality. And with a few unexpected twists, players won't have any hint of boredom through its expansive runtime. Wings of Liberty's in-game mechanics improve on its equally lauded predecessor, adding fluid animations and controls that heighten its level of immersion. Mainly though, it's how needless material is removed in favor of fun-filled, hard-hitting elements that make Wings of Liberty a cut above the rest. Is there an RTS game you think deserved to be on the list? Let us know in the comments.
Unleash the tides of doom upon all those who would oppose us.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.